So, you're in your 20s and you're feeling lost. Well, welcome to the party. I think this is the case for pretty much all of us in our 20s. And the solution, I think we always think, is like we have to do more. We have to be more productive. I have to go to the gym more. I have to get in shape. I have to get my money up. I have to, but the problem with that is that you don't really know yourself, though. Because especially when you're young, it's really hard to know yourself, but especially hard to know yourself when there's just constant distractions. I mean, it's never been easier to distract yourself with our phones, with technology. It's pretty rare that we have a quiet moment to ourselves. And anytime we do have a little bit of space, we fill it with stimulus from the outside world, mainly our phones. It's really the main issue here, is that it's taken away any free time that we would have had before. So let me just grab out the water here. So the actual best thing you can do is do nothing. And that might be confusing because it's like, what? I have to do less? But do nothing doesn't mean do whatever you want. I mean, do nothing. Learn to sit with yourself. Learn to, in those moments of free time, sit with your thoughts and start to kind of figure out who you are. What do you love? What do you hate? Actually, what we hate is very important too, because a lot of what you hate isn't a problem. A lot of times we think like, oh man, I'm so bad with people. I hate it. I gotta get better at that. If you hate that, that's fine. That's who you are. You have to integrate that into your life. Maybe you need to find a job where you don't really need to interact with people that much, where you can have a project that you just do. Like, for instance, for me, one thing I really hate is like organizing. Like I'm a pretty creative person, and I feel like being given a task, like, here, organize these things. I hate it. It's just like, ugh, like I don't feel like doing that. Like I have to think about this. You're telling me what to think about right now and how to, like, I hate doing that, but other people love it. They love organizing. People who just, I get to organize it and I get it all in order and blah, blah, blah. Whereas for me, like, something I love is, or that I'm definitely a lot better with, is like physical labor type stuff. Like, just move these things and do this thing and move this over here, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a pretty strong young man and everything, and so, but it's also just, again, because the way my brain works, being a creative person, it's a little bit, it allows me to, now that my body's doing this thing, my mind is free to wander, my mind is free to think, and that, to me, is a lot more enjoyable. So you have to, like, integrate who you are into what you do, and embrace what you love, embrace what you hate, and don't feel like shame for that. And don't be running from yourself all the time. Get to know yourself. Be your own friend, right? Like, attention is a form of love, and neglect is a form of hate. And we're basically just, to no fault of your own, I mean, it's the way the world is kind of designed now, to take your attention away all the time, but we're just basically neglecting ourselves. And you can never learn about something unless you give it attention, right? That's the only way to learn about anything. So, of course we feel lost, you know what I mean? And it's not like you'll figure things out immediately. It takes time. But the more you make it a habit to, like, whenever I have a free moment, to just sit with myself and sit with my thoughts and get comfortable being in your own head. This was something that, like, people wouldn't have had to go out of their way to do before having a computer in your pocket at all times. It just naturally happened. You're waiting in line, you're waiting on the bus. There would be all these kinds of little moments where you just kind of had to learn how to sit there with yourself. Whereas we don't really have to do that anymore. So you have to make a conscious effort to do nothing sometimes, to not be filling your brain with stimulus, to meditate possibly, but meditation, all it means is just sitting back and maybe watching your breathing a little bit, but just letting your thoughts, just observing your thoughts and letting them kind of do their thing and bringing your attention there. And through that, you'll figure out who you are. And that's the first step. the first step to actually, you know, living a life that you enjoy is like figuring out what do you love, what do you hate, what could you put up with doing, what could you never put up with doing, and recognizing that like that's me on my journey and that's the truth for me. It's not like an objective truth. So if I'm trying to look at someone like the YouTuber telling you what to do and how you should be spending your time and what you should care about and how you should, what kind of career you should have, it's never going to really work, because that's what works for them. What works for you is going to be different. So the first step to like figuring out, you know, there's probably a lot of possibilities still within that of what you can do, but the first step is figuring out who you are and what you love and what you don't love. And maybe you need to just open up the window of like experimentation for a little bit. Maybe you need to try a bunch of different things and figure that out. Maybe you haven't had enough time to try different things and even figure that out. But it's the first step. And once you figure that out, the rest is going to be better and it's going to be smooth. You know, you won't have to like force yourself to do things all the time, because what you do will be suited to who you are and suited to your personality. And you know, everyone's a lot happier when they're able to do the thing that they're good at, that they enjoy doing, that is very suited to their personality and their natural habits. You know, don't feel like you have to change these consistent personality traits that you've always had. Embrace them and work with them, and it just makes everything better. You will, you know, hate yourself a lot less. You'll be mad at yourself a lot less. And in general, that's just a good thing to do. You know, have a little bit more sympathy for yourself and recognize that you're just another person trying to figure it all out, and that's what we're kind of all doing, and no one has it all figured out. So I hope this video made you feel a little bit better and maybe allowed you to learn a couple things.